Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I'd do something a little different than our normal tarot readings. I thought I would introduce y'all to some of my tarot decks, or maybe all of the tarot decks that I currently have. As you can see in front of me, I've got quite an array of decks, but you know, if you've ever played around with tarot, I feel like sometimes you're drawn to certain decks because of their artistic style, sometimes you're drawn to them for their meaning, sometimes you're gifted them, sometimes you think you're really gonna love one and it just doesn't resonate with you at all, so you end up getting quite a collection. Obviously, I usually read from one deck when I'm with you guys, so let me just introduce you to some of these decks that I've got. So in this wooden box here, we have my first tarot deck that I ever got, which is the Animal Totem Tarot. Ooh. I don't have the box for this deck anymore because I was like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna be dedicated and I'm gonna keep all my cards in a earth-made box and keep crystals inside and like it's gonna be great. And you know, I've kind of moved away from that a little bit, but I thought I would share. So this is what the back of the deck looks like, and let's just grab a couple cards to show y'all. If you've watched my other videos, you've probably noticed that I don't tend to follow a traditional spread when I'm doing my tarot readings. I just go from like a completely intuitive perspective and tend to just pull out cards in increments of 3 and see what speaks to me. However, when I'm using this Animal Totem deck, I don't know if y'all can see that there, I tend to read this one specifically as a totem, okay? So what I'll do is I'll pull blah, 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 you know, pull the cards and stack them on top of each other. I don't have a fun professional camera setup, so you can't really see this, but I think typically I'll do like 7 cards. The book does suggest that you read in a traditional totem spread. Eight cards, and the book breaks down what each card going up the totem stands for. I think that's pretty cool. I don't use it all the time because the imagery doesn't usually like speak to me from the same place that a lot of other tarot cards do, but I do prefer to use this deck in the totem spread. All right, so that's intro to my first ever tarot deck that I use occasionally still. And let's see here, this brings us to the second deck I ever got. Okay, this is by Ciolo Thompson. It's the Otherkin Tarot. I have had another tarot deck by her called the Lynn Strider, and I do have her Oracle deck, but I'm saving Oracle decks for another video. But yeah, she's in the same state as me, good old Washington. I really love her artistic style, her watercolor and pen and ink. She also has like a very big descriptive book that she includes with all of her decks. If you couldn't tell, the matching theme between my first two decks is that they're animals and not people. When I first started getting interested in tarot, I just felt kind of weird about like a lot of the imagery with people, even though I understand that the cards represent masculine and feminine energies. It took me a long time to find desks. I never can talk anytime. It took me a long time to find decks that resonated with me that had images of humans and not animals. That being said, I don't know that I would have chosen all of the images or the specific animals that are chosen for the Otherkin deck. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a rabbit for the King of Pentacles. I don't know. The artwork is beautiful. Here's the Four of Cups card. It's an octopus. But again, there's just, to me, no like visual cues for the symbolism of the cards. You just have to sort of know what the traditional meaning of the cards are to read them, which I just think is incredibly impractical. So, no offense. Beautiful, beautiful, stunning artwork. But I just never, ever, ever use this deck because I feel like it just does nothing for me. But maybe it'll do something for you. And that'll take us to the third deck I ever purchased and my forever one. So in this little box, I have my Morgan Greer Tarot in a Tin. So it's more pocket sized. And this is the deck that I use specifically for personal readings. For me or my partner, no other energies get put into this deck. But beautiful, beautiful colors. Like, I just love this deck in general, but the Tarot in the Tin is really, really high quality actually. Okay. And y'all might recognize Bow. This is the deck that I use every time I do a reading. Same deck, just different sizes. Traditional sized, pocket sized. Still beautiful, beautiful. I will say, and I don't know if this is true for all of the traditional sized ones or if it's just the copy that I purchased, but I do feel like some of the colors are oversaturated or like overly warm. So like skin colors tend to look kind of odd. I don't know, maybe this isn't the best example of one, but see, he's like kind of orange looking. I mean, hey, I'm all for any color, but same with like the Lovers card. It's just like very warm toned, like oversaturated and overly warm. So I don't know if it's just whoever printed this batch or what, but if y'all have a full-size Morgan Greer deck, I would love to know your opinions on if you think the colorway is a little off. But anyways, moving on. So the Morgan Greer deck was created in the 70s, as was the Aquarian Tarot. there was a big resurgence of tarot in the 1970s. I really wanted this Aquarian deck in a tin. I love the tiny decks for a long time, and just kept not doing it. And then finally I was working at a store that sold lots of tarot decks, and I ended up buying this one. And y'all, I use it occasionally, but I don't particularly love it. Like, this is the Ace of Rods. I think it's a really, really stunning card. I don't know if this is focusing. I should have put my camera closer, but you know, we're committed. Yeah, I really like the perspective and the detail, but like, it's kind of weird to me that, I don't know if you can tell, but people's faces are just really washed out in this deck. And also, like, some of the cards, I just, maybe this is just me being too particular or reading into things too deeply, but this deck was created by a man, and I do feel like some of the images are a little male-centric, if that's like the proper term. Here, like, for example, the Lovers card. You know, the Lovers card is about coming together, some sort of a companionship, connection, and like, the man is literally, if you cut this into thirds, smack dab in the middle of the card, while the woman is like cut off on the side. And to me, that shows that one person has more power over the other one, which I don't think is a proper representation of a card that's supposed to be about love and connection. So I guess you're free to interpret the cards however you want. And there's nothing to say that there aren't deceptive aspects of a card like the Lovers card, maybe false love, but I try to do my readings from as positive of a place as I can, because, well, these are, you know, all intuitively driven, and they're just guides for you and not like an end-all be-all. So why would you want to make the message more negative than it needs to be? I don't know. That's just my opinion. Moving on, let's do our last little tarot in the tin. This is the Gentle Tarot. This is a newer to me deck. It's really beautiful. The cardstock is wonderful. It's a woman indigenous owned company, and the tarot in the tin has like the gold foil. Ooh, yeah. One other thing that I like is that in this deck you can get two different forms of the Lovers card. You can get this Lovers card, or you can get this Lovers card. And completely separately from purchasing the deck, I believe there is a like non-binary Lovers card that you can purchase to include in your deck as well. So that's pretty cool. I would say that the meaning of the images in this deck don't always resonate with me as much. I think they're beautiful. You know, just that kind of matte, but still super pigmented imagery. Just really, really nice. Feels really good in the hands. Keep that Human Lovers card out because we know I like the animals. But it is a little bit more challenging to read because you don't have the traditional suits. These follow more of an indigenous perspective. So you have like thunder, stones, different suits than you would have in a traditional deck. So it takes a little bit of learning. And on top of that, the maker sells their instructional booklet separate. So when you buy your deck, you just get a QR code that takes you to a website where you can get all the information about every card. It's written really beautifully, very gentle. It is called the Gentle Tarot after all. It is very sweet and soft. It is kind of frustrating to have to open up an app every time I want to check the meaning of a card, and I wasn't going to be paying like the same price for the deck for a book. That was just not in the budget for me. But let's see. So next, let's go right here to the Blooming Cat Tarot. This is a fun one. I don't use it that often. Mainly just because, I don't know, it's kitschy. Like, just kind of fun. I'll leave those cards in there. Again, another like foily. And the cards are yin and yang. So you can kind of tell from the side of the deck what way it's facing. I mean, these pictures, they're just so cute. The only complaints really that I hear from people on this deck are that like some of the cats are like recycled, meaning that like the same one in the same position might be on a couple different cards. But you know what, like it's fun. It's fun. Super thick cardstock. It is a bit difficult to shuffle because it's beefy and not a lot of flexibility. But like I said, the imagery is super cute, super fun. My best friend actually also has this deck, and we didn't know that we both owned it until we were talking about tarot one day. The other cool thing with this deck is it comes with Zodiac cards. Hey, an extra 12 cards. Super great. Oh, love it. I use these pretty frequently. Yeah, so that's the Blooming Cat Tarot. Now let's see here. We're just gonna put that there for a minute. This is a deck that I was using quite frequently for a while and just haven't picked up in a minute, and it's Tarot for All Ages. I suggest this one at my job to everybody all the time. Really beautiful imagery, really sweet, gentle messages. Great book. I mean, it's a thick one. And it shows the pictures of all the cards, so it's really easy to find the one that you're trying to identify. Great cardstock again. Also really large. For my tiny hands, it is a challenge to shuffle these. Sometimes I have to break it into different, like 2 different piles and shuffle those. But I mean, look at the Tower. How cute is that card? I mean, this is probably the most adorable tower that you'll ever see in tarot. Love it. See how it's like birds falling out instead of people? It's not as violent for younger folks that are trying to read. Another thing too are that some of the major arcana archetypes have changed in this deck. Here we go. For example, instead of the Lovers card, we have Unity. Okay. And, oh gosh, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it, but instead of Death, it's been replaced with Rebirth here it is. Oh, y'all. Look at that rebirth card instead of the traditional death card. F yeah. I love it. It's so great. It says that it's for ages 8 and up, I believe. Yes. And like I said, it's just very sweet and non-scary or offensive. Let's just read as an example, since we talked about rebirth instead of death. Let's see. So for rebirth, it says, though we associate the butterfly with grace and ease, there's nothing simple about transformation. The process is slow and difficult. A cocoon is constructed, then torn open. Rebirth captures the moment when one form has ended and a new one has begun. It's about letting go of certainty and perhaps someone or something. A feeling of emptiness may linger along with suspense. It is hard to remember that the emptiness left behind actually contains all possibility. Don't be afraid to ask for support. Endings are nothing to fear if you view them as the first step towards new beginnings. The numeral 13, which it's the 13th card in the deck, reduces to 4. 1 plus 3 equals 4. Refers to creation, stability, and decisions. Isn't that just great? I mean, for real. I need to use this deck more often. The messages are just a delight. All right, looks like we have only 3 decks left, y'all. Hey! I don't know if y'all like this. If you're bored out of your mind, you probably watched this for like 2 minutes and then clicked on something else. But here we have the Light Seers. I grabbed this one after a YouTube tarot reader that I follow shared her cards. It's a great book, beautiful artwork. It's maybe a little modern and a little hippie-ish for me. Like 7 of Wands, you know, it's like this meditating person with dreadlocks, and it looks very like Burning Man or something. I mean, the messages are really great and the artwork is very pretty, but I don't use it as often as I thought I would because it's just not my style. I don't know, but it's a little too hipster. Maybe that's the word. But maybe y'all will love it. Like, look at Strength. I mean, can you get more hipster than that? Anyway, still a really, really nice deck. Great messages in the guidebook. If you're into more modern aesthetics, that might be a great one for you. Okay, 2 decks left. This is one of my favorites, Mystical Medleys. Ugh, I believe this artist is working on an oracle deck or something currently, and I'm like on pins and needles. Can we just talk about this packaging though? Okay, so it pops down and the box that holds the card slides out, but look, okay. It's the Devil card. I mean, the thought and attention to the detail. Okay. So here's what the backs look like. I used these in conjunction with my Morgan Greer deck in one of my tarot readings. I just can't recall which one. But they're like old 1920s, 1930s, I don't know, maybe 1930s, like spaghetti animation, like Betty Boop was, or Popeye. I don't know if it doesn't want to focus, but yeah, the imagery is great. It's so fun. I also feel like there's a lot of symbolism thrown into these cards, so that makes it really fun to read. No. Focus. Oy. But anyway, we'll see. But yeah, I really, really love this deck. So much symbolism, so fun, so colorful, and the booklet, y'all. The booklet is just as good. For real. I really, really love the perspective. So let's see here. Let's read one. Which one do we want to? How about the Hermit? Okay, I'll just use the Hermit as a quick example. The Hermit. Somewhere between heaven and earth stands a lonely night watchman, his lantern illuminating the darkness as he stands vigilant, scanning the horizon for answers. He is old but strong, and the snow around him is fresh and new. He took his own path to this heavenly peak, but it is now time to withdraw and settle one's accounts. Don't put off till tomorrow what can be achieved today. Use your experiences to cast a new light on situations. Be strong and certain and deal with your problems when the time comes for action. Don't hide away from your path. I mean, like, I really, really, really love and appreciate how this creator chose to describe each card. I think that's probably on top of the illustrations, like why I go to this one so often, because I just really, really love the descriptions of the cards. So that's some Mystical Medleys. Ooh, love. We're gonna set this one back here for the moment. And last but not least is the Tarot Original 1909. This is the imagery based on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and the cards are circles. Now, I've still been practicing with these, and I haven't felt confident enough to do a reading for y'all using these yet, but they're really fun. Pretty much every deck that I use, I only read right side up. I just personally feel like if everything's open to interpretation and you are free to make your own choice as to how you want to navigate the cards that are pulled for you, why do a reversal that might have more of a negative connotation to it, if you're looking for guidance and support. So I typically don't read reversals when I do tarot. But with the circular ones, it's kind of hard to keep them all facing upright, isn't it? That being said, it's really cool because the cards have different meanings depending on which way they're facing. So if you pull the card and it's facing to your right, then that means that this card's message has to do with something in the future. If you pull it and it's facing to your left, then that means that this message is in relation to your past. Also, with it being upright, that is more what your core beliefs are, how you tend to approach your situations. And then if it's upside down, that's your shadow side. That's more your intuition, your internal dialogue, or perspective. And then if they're like kind of crooked, you know, depending on what cards are facing each other, that can have a different meaning as well. Kind of like a Lenormand deck, if you're familiar with that. I was going to speak about my Lenormand deck today too, but I thought I'd throw it in with the Oracle decks since there's a lot of tarot decks. But anyway, you know, the imagery is the traditional imagery. If you're not super familiar with this deck or with tarot in general, some of the cards can be hard to identify because even the major arcanas don't have the name written on them. So like you might look at this one and be like, I don't know, is that supposed to be the High Priestess? Or, but no, it's the Queen of Swords. So, so some of them can be a little bit more challenging to identify if you aren't very well versed in it. But that being said, it's still a super fun deck to play around with. So yeah, that's what I have today instead of our normal tarot reading. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in again, all your subscriptions and your likes. You know, I would love some comments, some positive feedback, some like, maybe try this instead of that, or you're just boring and shouldn't talk anymore. I don't know. You're all entitled to your own opinions. But yeah, I would love to hear what y'all think. If you have any of these decks, if any of them speak to you and you are curious about acquiring one, I'm sure I will get many more decks in the future, and maybe I'll do another video like this to show you guys those. But as it stands, the next video that I post that will be like this one is going to be showcasing all of my Oracle decks. Yay, that one should go a lot faster, and I don't know, maybe, am I boring? Maybe it won't be so boring, but I digress. Enough beating myself up about whether I'm boring or not. Y'all, you're tuning in because I'm a real person and you're a real person, and like, let's just be real about it, okay? I'm not like a professional videographer, YouTuber. I don't do public speaking, so you're just getting raw me. So thank you again so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Bye.